Hello everyone. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at an article from Bloomberg that was published on October 30th, written by Tyler Pager, or Pager. Biden aides see warning signs in Black Latino turnout so far. Yeah. They thought the blacks were going to stay on the Democrat plantation, and they thought the Latinos were going to vote for them because they're like, well, they came from a communist country and they voted for that shit and they wanted that shit, but they fled here for a better life. They'll just vote for more of it. They really thought that because the way that the left and Democrats see Hispanics, okay, they see them all the same. They see blacks as all the same. I mean, you get Joe Biden going, well, if you don't vote for me, you're not black. I'm surprised you didn't try the same shit with the Hispanics, because you know this is how they think, okay? You're an Uncle Tom if you don't vote for me, you know, or if Joe was saying it, but Democrats, because that's what he basically said. You're an Uncle Tom if you don't vote for me. All right? You don't think that they don't see the Hispanics the same way? And it freaks them out that the numbers they see right now do not reflect what they thought they had for a voter base, you know, when it comes to blacks and Latinos. So despite record early turnout, Black Latino votes lag. And then the top Biden aides, I mean, this right here is them trying to save face, because there's no way this can happen. There is no way with what they're saying here, they can do it. They can carry things, okay? Top Biden aides confident seniors, suburban votes will carry. No, they're not going to carry them. You need, what was it? If a Republican could get something like 25% of the black vote, it's over for the Democrat Party. Trump has well over 25% approval. It's like 46% approval by blacks. The numbers of blacks that would vote for him are comparable to having a support level of that high. And they think that senile seniors that they're ballot harvesting and dead people who would be considered seniors and suburban votes are going to carry this shit, are going to carry creepy Uncle Joe. This is when people in suburbia watched what the Democrats did to the cities and don't want that shit to come to their fucking towns. They don't want the looting, the rioting, the assaults, or anything like that to happen in their communities. And you think they're going to vote for more of that shit by voting for creepy Uncle Joe? Seriously? I mean, this is Bloomberg, and Bloomberg did make it clear during the Democrat debates that he bought and paid for an election. He let that slip. So yeah, that should show you the mentality here. Anyway, let's get into the article here. Senior officials on Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden's campaign are increasingly worried about the insufficient black and Latino voter turnout in key states like Florida and Pennsylvania, with only 4 days until the election, according to people familiar with the matter. Yeah, they're freaking out because these are like states that they thought they had in the bag, that they went, oh, yeah, we got these states all set. No worries. We got Pennsylvania. They screwed themselves assuming this stuff. They just expected Hispanics to vote Democrat and blacks to be on the Democrat plantation and vote for them. And that isn't exactly what's happening. Despite record early voter turnout around the country, there are warning signs for Biden. In Arizona, 2/3 of Latino registered voters have not yet cast a ballot. Yeah, and it's probably a good thing that they didn't, because if they had done it early, they'd probably be wanting to get their vote back after watching the last presidential debate, because that was a topic of demand on the note of searches when it came to Google. I mean, 2/3 of the Latino vote. This is what they don't understand is when you have record low employment for blacks, Latinos, Asians, people are going to vote along the economy lines too. They expected them to just go out and vote. You know, and what's funny is Latinos tend to be very devout Catholics. When you're pushing the abortion thing and everything else, do you really think the devout Catholics are going to vote for you? Just a thought. Because they really aren't. In Florida, half of Latino and black registered voters have not yet voted, but more than half of white voters have cast ballots, according to data from Catalyst, a Democratic data firm. Well, actually, be a little more accurate here, because that's 50% of Democrat white voters voted. Okay? The Republicans, only 25% of the Republicans have voted at this point. So you've got all these blacks and Hispanics that didn't come out and vote for the Democrats because they say, shit, I'm not living on the plantation. You have the white Republicans who haven't voted, and you're trying to be like, well, 53% of whites voted. No, 50% of whites. No, 50% of white Democrats voted. If you're going to quote numbers, be accurate. Because that's what happened in Florida. It's 50% of white Democrats voted. Not 50% of whites. In Pennsylvania, nearly 75% of registered black voters have not yet voted, the data shows. I wonder why. Maybe because they're looking more like on the idea of Trump as opposed to Biden, and they didn't buy into the hysteria of mailing in your ballots now. And they're probably going to vote for Trump. I mean, not all 75%, but I got a feeling that more than a few of them are going to vote for Trump. I have a feeling, even though they pushed the racist shit, that Trump's a racist, his supporters are racist, everyone's a racist on the right, racist, transphobe. The black community didn't buy into that shit this time, especially when you have rappers coming out. And what's funny is I bet you the ones who saw 50 Cent flip-flop went, oh, you fucking pussy. And they're still probably going to vote for Trump. And they're going to be like, shit, man, even ugly white pussy will fucking win over a black man. Because Chelsea Handler looks, I mean, her face, to quote Space Cowboys, all right, it looks like 50 miles of desert trail. She's nasty. And she's talking about, well, I'll fuck him if he votes Democrat. That's a scary fucking proposition. I'd be like, nah, I'm all set. I'm still voting. Fuck you. I mean, and another thing is they're going to look at the fact of how he cucked to Chelsea fucking Handler. They're going to be like, oh, big tough gangster rapper cucked a Handler. And they're going to look at it after he flip-flopped. They're going to look at it that way. And they're probably still going to stick with Trump. You've got Ice Cube, okay, supporting Trump. You've got, oh God, was it Lil Wayne supporting Trump? The black community is going to come out for Trump. You've got Kanye, okay, even though he's running for president, basically kind of supporting Trump. Trump is going to pull down a large group of black voters. They know this. That's why they're freaking out. And this idea that 75% of registered black voters have not voted yet, if you think that they're going to vote for Joe, pull your head out of your ass. Sure, a number of them are going to, but I'm sure more than a few are going to vote for Trump, especially with the fact of how Pennsylvania's been run by Democrat shitbricks. And the shit that they've been pulling, you know, with the pandemic and stuff. These people are like, I want to go back to work. I want to fucking earn a living. I want my kids back in school. Anyway, the firm's analysis of early vote numbers also show a surge of non-college educated white voters who largely back President Donald Trump compared to voters of color who overwhelmingly support Biden. Yeah, if they supported Biden, do you really think when the Democrats were pushing this vote now, vote early shit, do you really think if they were supporters of his, do you think they would have waited till now? No, they would have bought into the hysteria and voted already. Sorry. I think you're going to find when Trump has 46% approval by blacks, these are the people who are willing to admit it. You think he has large support from, how did you put it? The voters of color? Get bent. When almost half of the black voters out there support him, you're full of shit. You got to love how Bloomberg buys this fucking fake news shit, you know, because he can afford to run a loss leader with Bloomberg as a publication to push his Trump derangement and to push lies like that. The situation is particularly stark in Florida, where Republicans currently have a 9.4% turnout advantage. In Miami-Dade County, a place where analysts say Biden will need a significant margin of victory to carry the state. Now, what's funny is they only bring up Miami-Dade County. Across Florida, Trump has a lead. It's a substantial lead. Instead of admitting Joe screwed the pooch and has pretty much lost Florida at this this point. They want to play it like he has hope. This is when a few days earlier, a week ago, oh, Joe's got Florida in the bag. Oh, Joe's got Pennsylvania in the bag. Oh, Joe's got Arizona in the bag. Oh, we're flipping Texas blue. Really? None of this shit is coming to fruition from all appearances. But they thought they were going to convince people of that and turn it into reality. They've lost the narrative. Okay? They've gone off the deep end with it that they're trying to push. And people aren't fucking buying it. It's sad, too. I would like to see turnout increase, and yes, we need improvement. Steve Shale, the president of Unite the Country, a pro-Biden super PAC, wrote in a blog post on Tuesday about Miami-Dade County early vote numbers. Yes, because see, the thing is Democrats generally end up ahead with the early voting, with the mail-in voting. They tend to end up ahead. And when you have in Florida, they're behind, it shows they're fucked. Because when you've consistently always had the lead with that, and the Republicans are already leading with it, it's over. You're fucked. Just admit it. Concede. You're done. But they don't want to. So it's like, well, I'd like to see an increase in turnout, and yes, we need improvement. Oh, no, you're screwed. It ain't going to get better because 53% of Democrats already voted. Of white Democrats. Or actually 53%, I think, in general, but it's like 53% white Democrats. You're screwed. Admit defeat. At least in Florida. Top campaign leaders have expressed confidence that Black and Latino voters will show up Election Day. Yeah, but do you honestly think they're going to vote for Joe when you've got Latinos strongly supporting Trump, especially in Florida? I don't think so. When you've got 46% approval with blacks, with Trump, you think they're going to go and vote for creepy Uncle Joe? I don't think so. You think they're going to vote for a guy who said, either you vote for me if you're black, and if you don't vote for me and you're black, you're not black? You honestly think blacks are going to vote for that fucking piece of that racist piece of shit who assumes that they're fucking dumb, low IQ individuals that are going to buy into shit like, well, if you don't vote for me, you're not black? Get bent, Bloomberg. Seriously. You're deluded. Every one of you over there are deluded if you think that's true. And if you're pushing it as propaganda to try to facilitate it happening, you're scumbags. I mean, this is so funny. They think that they're going to show up at Election Day when you've got this overwhelming support from Latinos and fucking blacks and vote Biden. Okay. Keep deluding yourself. All right. And they say are going to show up Election Day, and historical trends suggest these groups often do prefer to vote in person. Yes, but you honestly think they're going to vote for creepy Uncle Joe when the support shows that there's a large number of them that support Trump. Anyway, but some Biden advisors have expressed concerns about a lack of investment and are urging the campaign, so far unsuccessfully, to spend even more money to target these voters in the final stretch, especially given the campaign's record-shattering fundraising. Yes, so basically what you want them to do is to take the money that Joe got from Chinese businessmen for the campaign that was, I'm sure, you know, he's on the take from China. We're pretty much confirmed that at this point. And from white Democrat voters, rich white Democrat voters like Hollywood shitbricks, all this money that was by elites that was put into the coffers. You want them to spend the money thinking, well, the Latinos and blacks are dumbed down. We gotta inundate them with advertising to get them vote for creepy Uncle Joe. At this point, much of them aren't, for the most part, most of them aren't going to change their fucking minds. So if you honestly think that you need this advertising and it's going to sway people, you're fucking idiots. It's not going to happen. Most people's minds are made up at this point. But you look at the desperation of like Kamala Harris outside, you know, a voting location in violation of the law, telling people to vote for her and creepy Uncle Joe. That should tell you something about their desperation. Seriously. Biden's campaign disputed that these voter turnout efforts are being shortchanged. Well, of course they are. They don't want to admit that. No campaign in American history has devoted this level of resources that we have to outreach to voters of color, and we're deeply proud of it. So basically, you're proud of the fact that you're spending all this money to convince blacks and Latinos to vote against their own interests with a shitbrick senile old fuck who's going to be 25th Amendment, or he's going to fucking get a Clinton side, double tap or some shit. Okay, and then Kamala's going to be installed. You honestly think they're going to vote for the far left fucking policies that they've seen are complete bullshit? Because you have record unemployment. You have within black and Latino communities because of Trump. You have them having higher standards of living because of Trump. You have them putting more money in their pockets because of Trump's tax cuts. You honestly think that they are so fucking stupid that you throw a little more money and a little more advertising, a little more brainwashing, you're going to win them over? You think that all the money you've spent, you've won them over? Bullshit already? You think you've won them over? No. Not when you have a 46, and I keep repeating this, but when you have 46% of blacks approving of Trump, you're fucked. Plain and simple. You are F-U-C-K-E-D fucked. Deal with it. Simone Sanders, one of the campaign's most senior African-American advisors, said in a statement, "In community-specific advertising alone, we've dedicated tens of millions of dollars to each community, with a total into 9 figures. And we've committed tens of millions on in-person GOTV programs unique to communities of color. Earning the support of diverse voters is the beating heart of our operation." Oh, really? Earning the votes. That's what you call Joe telling black people? If you don't vote for me, you're not black. Because that's what you're basically saying it is. People like her would call someone who would vote for Trump that's black an Uncle Tom, when she's a fucking Uncle Thomasina working for that racist piece of shit who created the crime bill that was intentionally targeting black people to put them in prison because they were considered super predators. You've got Uncle Thomasina here saying, black people, vote for this guy. He's got your best interests at heart. Mind you, she threw a bunch of black people into fucking prison. I mean, he threw a bunch of black people into prison. Kamala Harris, same thing. Not only did she throw him in prison using Biden's fucking bullshit laws, okay, using California state laws geared at targeting black people, she then kept them in past their fucking sentences and used them as slave fucking labor. Yeah, black people really want to vote for that. Latinos, when they were subjected to the same shit in California, okay, being held past their release dates and used as slave labor. Yeah, they really want to vote for fucking authoritarian scumbags like that. Yeah, okay. When the community has been subjected to that, they're really going to vote for the assholes who created it? Come on. Why do you think there's 46%? And I keep repeating that. But why do you think there's pretty much half of the black community supporting Trump? Because he's doing prison reform, because he low record unemployment, because the economy's doing good. And this is even with you saying orange man bad, racist. Just imagine if you didn't pull that shit, what type of support he'd have. Just imagine. Oh, that's right. You know, and that's why you did what you did, and that's why you're freaking out now, because it isn't working like you want it to. And you honestly think that Trump's going to get blacks and Latinos turning out in large numbers for voting for him. Oh my God. We're also the most diverse general election campaign in American history, including at senior levels, and all our strategic decisions are driven by our diverse leadership team. Translation? We've got a lot of people who are not white, that have drank the Kool-Aid, who think that we're actually doing shit for them because creepy Uncle Joe is only about himself. And identity politics drive what we do, because when you say that all of our strategic decisions are driven by our diverse leadership team, you're translating that to identity politics is driving what you're doing. Americans in general, unless you are a far left, low IQ, low information, brainwashed, Kool-Aid drinking dipshit, unless you're that, No one wants to deal with identity politics. So nice try. Yeah, that ain't helping you. Disagreements over how to allocate precious resources in the closing days are a common occurrence in a presidential campaign. But what has made these disputes, which have not been previously reported, more serious is the split has broken along racial lines. And this is what's funny. Biden gets to keep the money that he has left in his campaign after it's said and done. There are millions of dollars. Why do you think they're holding on to that? Joe's, he might be senile, but he's still a money-grubbing bastard. He wants to pocket those millions of dollars. That's why they're leaving that money in the coffers. Because a smart politician would spend all of their campaign financing, not try to pocket leave millions till the end. Okay, unless they're like shady, shifty, and scummy like Cenk Uygur or fucking Biden, because Cenk Uygur was still hitting up people for campaign contributions after he lost, and he still had millions, like close to $1 million in his fucking account, his campaign account. It was more than $1 million, something like that. And he's still he switched to a new PAC, and he's still trying to pocket fucking. He created a new PAC. And just renamed his campaign. And he's still trying to pocket money. You don't think that Joe Biden's looking at the situation similarly and trying to pocket those millions of dollars that the campaign's holding on to with only a few days left? Bullshit. He wants that money in his fucking pockets. His wife is going, oh, the purses I can buy with that. I can throw them in a fucking home. That's what's going on with that shit. They're looking at cashing in. Some of those advocating for more spending, who are largely people of color, and say they feel their communities are misunderstood to top Biden officials, sent multiple written proposals over the course of several months, including to National State Director Jen Ritter and her staff, outlining ways the campaign could bolster minority turnout. The people familiar with the effort said. They say the documents were ignored by campaign leadership. Well, here's the thing. The only thing you have on your side is Orange Man bad. How are you going to turn out more people unless you can convince them Orange Man bad? That Orange Man going to gas them or some shit like that. How are you going to turn out minorities, non-whites, unless you do something like that? That's the only way you can do it. Because you've literally built the last 4 years the stance of the Democrats on fighting the evil orange bad man. Instead of providing actual policy, instead of providing an actual platform. Oh my God, you people are fucking idiots in the campaign. All of you, you're all fighting. Like the identity politics, they're at each other's throats. I mean, that's another thing. They base all their shit on identity politics. And then they don't realize when they're doing this that the identity politics is going to lead to infighting. It always leads to infighting. That's why most people don't want to deal with it. The disagreements have resulted in heated conversations as staff argue over spending and strategy in the final stretch. And the advisors who say they are frustrated still say they're confident Biden will win the election, but they fear leaving anything to chance if the race is close. Yeah, they might openly say they think he's still going to win, but on the inside they're doubting it. They wouldn't be acting the way they are unless they are. Because if it's such a fucking shoo-in, this should not be an issue. But yet it is. So that should tell you they're paying lip service to this shit and they actually think that Joe could lose. And the race is close. I mean, when Trump is kicking Biden's ass in Florida with early voting, that's a sign of things to come. Just saying. These advisors are pushing for more resources dedicated to getting out the vote, including paid door knocking, paid phone banking, and paid text messaging, according to people familiar with the dispute. Oh, yes, because inundating people with text messages saying, vote for creepy Uncle Joe because you're black, and if you don't vote for him, you're not actually black. That's going to go over really fucking well. Good job. Yeah, that'll win. That'll help you win. See, they're trying to play like, oh, he'll still win. But then why do you need to sink all this extra money in? If it was true, then Biden would be all set. Look at Trump. He pulled out his money. He pulled out financing from Florida, okay, with days left because it's in the bag. if it's in the bag for Joe, why the fuck are you trying to increase the money being spent? Why are you trying to take away from creepy Uncle Joe's nest egg that he wants to pocket after the election? Because you know it's not in the bag. As of October 14, the Biden campaign and Democratic National Committee have combined had a combined 331 million cash on hand, according to the most recent reports with the Federal Elections Commission. Yeah, and Biden will pocket millions of those dollars from his actual campaign coffers at the end of the election. That should tell you a lot. Why are they holding on to the money? You go for broke. You don't sit there with days left and have hundreds of millions of dollars on hand. Not unless you're planning on pocketing that fucking money after the fact. Both Biden and Trump campaigned in Florida on Thursday, with Biden holding drive-in rallies in Broward County and in Tampa. Trump also held a rally in Tampa. Yeah, and the funny thing is, you got like 20 or 30 cars show up for Biden. You got like 20 or 30,000 people show up for Trump. And if you go and you say, okay, there were 4 people in a fucking car with 30 cars, okay, that's 120 people to 20,000. Yeah, you got it in the fucking bag. You people are idiots. Yet a Biden campaign staff member in Florida said coalition directors, those responsible for turning out the vote among specific demographic groups, have never been given a budget, despite repeated requests for funds they can allocate. The staffer said colleagues have spent their own money to put on voter engagement events, but the lack of coordination with senior leaders has stymied their efforts to do what the staff member called culturally competent outreach in critical parts of the state. Now, to me, culturally competent, why don't you just want to attract voters? If your message is good, it shouldn't matter if you pander to a particular like ethnic group, skin color, culture, whatever. If your message is good, that's all you need. And when these people are stupid enough to spend their own fucking money, why would Joe fork out the cash? He's trying to keep as much money back as possible because, again, they get to keep what's left over from their campaigns. You don't think Joe is looking at those millions of dollars, fucking foaming at the mouth, keeping enough clarity to know that he wants that money? Of course he is. And that should tell you when he's letting these people spend their own money, that he doesn't give a shit. But whatever. The Biden campaign said budget recommendations for outreach programs are led by the coalition teams and the senior advisors who oversee constituency outreach in conjunction with the state's teams. Of course, pass the buck. Ain't our fault if Joe wants to keep the money. On Thursday, the Biden campaign held a call with reporters to discuss its efforts to turn out Latino voters, where they touted spending tens of millions of dollars to reach voters and reviewed get out the vote events in battleground states targeted at Latino voters. Yeah, because they honestly think that they throw these stupid fucking events when they're pushing, abortion up until after the kid's fucking born. They're going to get devout Catholic fucking Latinos to vote for him by doing get out the vote. Yeah, that's really, a lot of Latinos are going to be a single issue on that, voter on that, because they're Catholics. I don't think you're going to win their vote. Just a thought. Just a fucking thought. We know our pathway to victory includes winning key battleground states that have significant populations of Latino voters, Deputy Campaign Manager Julie Chavez Rodriguez said on the call. Well, of course, she's got 2 last names there. And one of them's of a commie fucking scumbag. Go figure. The irony. The fucking irony. She's got Chavez's fucking, oh yeah, the irony. We cannot win without the Latino vote in these states, which is why we have invested historic amounts of money in research. So they're admitting they can't win without the Latino vote. They also can't win without the black vote. And when you have 46% approval, you're fucked. If a Republican can pull 25% of the black vote, it's over for the Democrats. When you have 46% approval, odds are Trump's going to pull more than that 25%. Just a thought. The call presented a united front from top leadership about its Latino get out the vote efforts. But a person familiar with the planning said the call was designed to calm the nerves of prominent Latino Democrats. Well, of course, because they're actually realizing they're kind of fucked. So anyway, prominent Latino Democrats who have been raising concerns about Biden campaign's Latino outreach strategy. Yes, because they know they don't have the Latinos on the fucking banana plantation like they have, like the Democrat banana plantation, like they thought they had the blacks on the fucking Democrat cotton plantations. You know, the voting fucking plantations. They honestly thought they had them on these fucking plantations. And they were just going to vote and be good little minorities, shut the fuck up and vote a fucking white man in that's supposed to represent them. And a fucking half Indian, half Jamaican whose family's wealth is not her personal wealth, but her family's wealth beyond her, like her father and all that. The wealth that they have is the result of the slave trade and being a fucking slave owner. They think that the black and Latinos are going to vote for a fucking guy who called blacks super predators and a woman who kept them in prison well past their release dates to use them as slave labor. They really think blacks and Hispanics are stupid. They really think they're low IQ people. It's disgusting. They just expect them to vote with that being the case. Like, oh, well, just ignore that. That's kind of hard to ignore. But so, yeah, they've been raising concerns. Anyways, but behind the scenes, the person said, there is tension and infighting. Well, of course, when you have everything based on identity fucking politics, okay, of course you're going to have infighting. You're going to be at each other's throats trying to slit them in the group. You didn't think that the result was going to be different, did you? Democrats say Biden's strength among other groups, namely seniors and suburbanites, will compensate for any drop-off in Latino support. Support with suburbanites. Suburbanites, excuse me, are going to be way more supportive of Trump because they don't want to see their little, their communities end up like Seattle, like Portland, like New York City, like fucking like with Wisconsin, okay? They don't want to see that shit. I don't think his support is as strong as you think it is. And it isn't going to make up for the Latino vote. And you're not even mentioning the black vote because over 25% of the vote goes to Republicans with blacks. There's no way the Democrats can win, period. But hey, whatever. They honestly think that the suburbanites and seniors, the only way seniors are going to do that is if you ballot harvest the shit out of them and you go to an Alzheimer's fucking facility and use them. That's the only way. But hey, whatever. But some of the advisors say they fear the campaign is overconfident, especially after 2016 when voters of color did not turn out for Hillary Clinton in key cities like Philadelphia, Detroit, and Milwaukee, which contributed to narrow losses in those states. Whoa. So they literally are blaming black people right now for Hillary losing. Bloomberg and his writer here are racist pieces of shit. Because the blacks didn't turn out to vote for Hillary. It wasn't the fact that she was a shitty fucking candidate. It wasn't the fact that she said blacks were super predators. It wasn't the fact that she helped Biden by shilling for his fucking crime bill. Okay, none of that had a factor. None whatsoever. Okay, it was the black man just not going out to vote for Hillary. Don't you think there was a reason for it? Could it be that she was a corrupt scumbag? And the reason why they didn't go out in numbers and vote for Trump back then was because you convinced them that evil orange bad Trump is just a racist, misogynist scumbag. You screwed yourselves. Deal with it. But some of the advisors, yeah, because they are saying that they fear the campaign is overconfident. Of course they're overconfident. Hillary was overconfident. Democrats are just overconfident in general. They don't have a fucking clue. They're in their own little la-la land worlds. Well, anyway, let's get this last little bit done here. Biden has enjoyed strong support from black voters who saved his primary campaign with a blowout in South Carolina, followed by big victories on Super Tuesday in states that had large black populations, making it more critical that these voters turn out. Now, this is what's funny. They're going to use the short little stint of the primaries because the primaries got cut short and he was just named the fucking, the fucking victor. They're trying to say that it was that black support that got him in. No, it was the fact that he did really shitty, somehow pulled something out of his ass, whether it was election rigging, some shit, and he managed to pull off winning in South Carolina, okay, and during Super Tuesday, and then they shut everything down and went, nothing to see here, he's the winner, and they fucking anointed him one. If they were playing legit, it would have been Bernie versus him, and you never know, Bernie might have fucking won. So they're trying to give this air of legitimacy to them, shutting the primaries down and say, hey, well, he clearly won because the black vote came out for him. One fucking state. Super Tuesday, a lot of those states on Super Tuesday, it was fucking white people that voted for him too. Oh my God. Yeah, they had large black populations, but the large number of whites also voted for them. So it's like they're trying to play like it was the black vote that got it for him. It wasn't all the Democrats voting for him, which that's still even questionable. I mean, anyway, this just goes to show how deluded Bloomberg is, how deluded the Democrats are. Okay, they've got no fucking clue what's going on. They honestly think they can keep pushing the bullshit that they are. They honestly think that the Hispanics and blacks are going to come out and vote for fucking creepy Uncle Joe when you've got 46% approval. It's probably higher at this point. Blacks with Trump. You have Hispanics overwhelmingly supporting the president. And they think that, those people are still on their respective Democrat plantations and are going to vote for creepy Uncle Joe? Probably not. I have a feeling Trump's going to get well over 25% of the black vote, and that's going to fuck them. At that point, it's over for them. It doesn't matter how many senile old seniors they get, they ballot harvest from. It doesn't matter how many white suburban liberal housewives that they've conned into thinking that Joe is for them. It doesn't matter about any of that. 25% of the black vote, they're fucked. The Hispanic vote, Trump has got enough numbers on that they're fucked. Anyway, I've covered this well enough. I'm leaving things here. If you liked this video, depending on where you are watching it, please give it an upvote or thumbs up. If you want to know when new content of mine hits the internet, don't forget to subscribe to one or more of my social media or video accounts listed here. Also, with YouTube, don't forget to ring that bell. You can find all of my video content on both BitChute and YouTube. This may not be the case with other places I upload to, but I will try to minimize this happening. You are always welcome to interact with me at any of these sites on the list, so feel free to do so. If you have anything you want me to cover in a video, when it comes to news or current events, send it right along to me. I will try to do my best to cover it. As always, thank you for watching.